You open this door with the key of reason. Beyond it is another dimension, a dimension of truth, a dimension of freedom, a dimension of joy. You're moving into the land of both the ideal and the real, of the possible and the actual. You've just crossed over into the Capitalist Corner.
Where reason meets reality, welcome to the Capitalist Corner.
Welcome, everybody, to the Capitalist Corner. I'm your host, Michael Liebowitz, joined by Persephone. I've got a great new episode out, by the way, of The Rational Egoist, dealing with overcoming your fears. I highly recommend that you check that out. And, of course, this is Friday, so we are here to answer your questions, whatever they might be. Let me repost this, share it with Mark. First of all, are there any questions? I'm curious if anybody has any questions, have any questions regarding yesterday's debate, or questions regarding anything else on the planet that you would like to know. I don't even see any comments. Is anybody even here? Are they all maybe just, they've abandoned me maybe after yesterday's debate? They were so upset about it, they've taken off. I don't know. The first thing is that I want to talk about. There's this story. I'm here, and how do I think the debate went? And we're here. Oh, and remember that we love super chats and super stickers. So if you want to donate them, donate them. So Ann wants to know how I think the debate went. I think I won. I brought a lot of facts to the table. I did a lot of research. I thought that I had a clear, logical presentation, and I thought that Andy failed to prove the proposition that Trump is a hero, flawed though he may be. So that's how I thought it went. Andy is still my friend, but I thought I won the debate. And I'm curious what you think. And so there's this story that I want to start with today this idea that the administration failed to prepare for Iran closing the Straits of Hormuz. Now, I've seen a lot of stories about how people that were there said they didn't prepare, but it all comes back to this CNN that said it. Now, I don't generally just trust CNN. I don't trust one source for information. The problem I have is first of all, it wouldn't surprise me if they, oh, look at this.
Congratulations, Megan.
Megan, congratulations. Congrats. That is awesome, Megan. Thank you so much for the $5. And, I really wish you all the happiness in the world, Megan. You really, really deserve it. Have a great wedding and just a great marriage. Megan Ribbons, folks. Dr. Mommy. She's absolutely wonderful. So it wouldn't surprise me if this were true, that they didn't prepare. That's the first one. The second thing is their denials that, no, this isn't true. But Trump lies so much that how do we know?
You don't.
Now, this leads me to a broader sort of critique of this, is when Trump gives his reasons for going in, I don't believe him. I don't trust Trump to tell us the truth about what's going on. I don't trust Trump to tell us when the war's won and or lost or anything else. And so the problem is we have nothing. What do we rely upon? And that necessarily hinders my ability to support a war with Iran because I can't get good information from the person running it. I don't know what he's going to do. I don't trust him. I mean, he said, well, it's got to be unconditional surrender. But then he comes out and says, well, we don't really need them to say surrender. I don't know what the hell he's talking about at that point. So, just so you know, right, let's just maybe go through some of the falsehoods falsehoods, exaggerations, contradictions that have been put out by this administration. Okay, so he repeatedly overstated Iran's nuclear and missile threats to justify the strikes. For instance, he claimed Iran was building nuclear weapons that could soon reach the U.S., but this is contradicted by a 2025 U.S. federal assessment stating Iran is years away from developing long-range missiles capable of such reach. Nuclear experts have also disputed the immediacy. Trump also recently said that they destroyed Iran's nuclear capability. Now they obviously, he's saying we didn't. They've overstated the ability of Tehran to attack the U.S. Trump claimed the Straits of Hormuz don't really affect the U.S., which he's basing that on the fact that we don't get the bulk of our oil from there, but he's not taking into consideration other factors like food prices, other things that are transported through there. He's not taking into consideration how oil shortages affect the overall market. He asserted that Iran possesses Tomahawk missiles, which no evidence suggests that they do. He said that that he thinks it was Iran that hit that school. He even said Iran was involved with the attack on the 2000 USS Cole, which was not true. When it comes to war progress, he said that the conflict is very complete and very much over. But then he says it's just beginning. It's not over enough. I don't know what that means, not over enough. The rationale for the war has shifted. Regime change, curbing ballistic missiles, halting nuclear pursuits, failed negotiations. Evidently, he's even claimed that Iran was somehow involved in election interference. Or I don't know. I haven't looked enough into that to know maybe it's true that they tried to interfere, but didn't actually accomplish anything. Let's see what else we got here. So I think that ultimately suffices. The point is, when you have a commander-in-chief whom you can't trust to tell you the truth, and this is not the pushback that I've seen on this is that, well, they want to confuse the enemy, that this is all somehow strategic. The problem is that this is so what's the word I'm looking for? Consistent with his normal mode of communicating and his normal mode of operations. It's not some grand plan. And also, I mean, you don't have to tip off the enemy, by saying, look, these are the reasons we're going to war. We're going to take them out. Or you could just say, I'm not going to comment. I mean, there's all types of other things that he could do. So what do you think about all the information that I sent you today on this subject, Persephone?
Scary. Just that's the main thought. I just looked it up. Apparently, there was Iranian interference in the 2024 United States elections.
In 2024?
Which is, yeah. So just throwing that out there.
But not 2020?
Well, no, this is just the
Okay.
2024.
All right. Robert Naser, thank you for the $2. He says, congratulations, Dr. Ribbons. Hooray for love.
The other things, he says whatever pops into his head at the time. It's almost never based in fact. He just says whatever sounds good. And usually it's bullshit because he knows that most people aren't going to fact check him. Most people are just going to go, okay. Because
I think... Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Persephone.
There's a vast majority of people are just going to hear what he says or what the White House says, and they're going to go, okay. And they're not going to go and do any additional research. So, if
I had to bet, right? I'm not in the prediction business, so I'm not saying this is going to happen. This is my guess. Gun to my head, what do I think is going to happen? What I think is going to happen is Trump is going to declare premature victory. He's going to stop the bombing. The regime is going to be intact. and Trump is just going to say that we destroyed everything that they have. We won this war. He may even come out and say they surrendered. He might do that. I don't think he's going to get the job done. I don't trust him to do that. I think that especially when he sees that the American people perhaps aren't behind doing that, or, what needs to be done, I think that is the likely outcome. Of course, time will tell. We will see. But I don't trust the man, and that's it. The other day, Akira Felix says, Trump said he didn't know after he already gave an answer.
Yep.
So Rock Chartrand says, is democracy anti-capitalist when it involves voting for more than who will protect your rights, which is, I think, the only thing democracy has ever been. I need to know, Rock, exactly what you mean by democracy, because if you just mean pure democracy, majority rule, no matter what, then it clearly is anti-capitalist. If you mean electing your leaders, then the answer would have to be, your representatives, I should say, would have to be no. It's not intrinsically anti-capitalist. It's not anti-capitalist in principle. It does work out that way. But to me, these arguments, even if you were to get to the pure democracy argument, it always boils down to the bulk of the population, right? If the bulk, or at least the most energetic part of the population, wants capitalism, we'll get it. If the bulk of the population does not want capitalism, we won't get it. And until we win the war of ideas, we won't win anything. I like numbers. Here's a question. He's $2. Would I support the action if someone else ran it? I don't know, because I would be. The problem is I would have to have a whole bunch of different information. I would have to trust that person, what they were telling me. And I still would say that they had to take the case to Congress. So now if Congress made a case, if the case was made, then I would support it. There's nothing in my opposition to going to war that has anything to do with thinking the Iranian regime doesn't deserve exactly what they get. None of it. I think they're bad. I think they deserve it. The question for me is always, is it in the interest of the people of the United States of America to go to war? So the first hurdle in that is you can't just have a president make that decision on his own in violation of the Constitution. So if any president was going to do that, then no, I would not support it. Now, if there were a different president that went to Congress, or let's say even Trump went to Congress, if Trump went to Congress and they had debates and the evidence was overwhelming that, for instance, the intelligence reports were wrong, that Iran actually is on the cusp of attacking us, or say that Iran is going to be able to attack us within 5 years even, or 10. And so we have to act now to prevent that. I would be much more apt to support it. Or if they, said, look, we actually can accomplish this, these are the potential costs we're looking at, I might support it then. The problem is the information is conflicting. Trump is a liar. And I don't have any trust that he's going to execute this correctly. But the very first thing that needs to be dealt with for me is the constitutional issue. And then, depending on what I heard, I could support it. I'm not saying don't go attack these poor innocent Iranians, meaning the regime, not the average citizen. But given the fact that it's unconstitutional, what they've done, given the fact that Trump is the president, given the fact that he lies constantly, and given that we've already heard, conflicting things out of his mouth about when it's going to end, regime change, no regime change, it's for the Iranian people, no, it's just to, knock down their military capabilities, I can't get behind that.
Do you know what I heard yesterday? I heard yesterday someone said they like the way that Donald Trump does war.
Who
So I was
said
like,
that?
oh, just a friend of mine. So I was like, that's a really interesting thing to say. Would you like to elaborate on what you mean by you like the way Donald Trump does war? And they said, well, he's decisive. He goes in and he acts. And if you need to hit, you hit fast and hard. And I was like, sure. Did he need to hit though? And I feel like there's a disconnect. So then we were talking about Venezuela, and he was like, well, look what happened in Venezuela. And I'm like, yeah, let's look at what happened. Did he need to do that? He went in, he got rid of a dictator, he left the same party in power. So now all he's done is he's installed a leader in another country who's under his heel. That's not good for Venezuela. It's also not good for the rest of the world. So, what about that was a good thing? And what about
Go ahead.
it was just interesting to me how you can say, well, he hits fast and hard, and it's like, yeah, sure, if someone had attacked and he like responded decisively, I could see that, but he's not going in fast and hard for like any good reason. He's just throwing his toys.
So there's an interesting discussion here in the chat. So Ray says the bulk of his policies, meaning Trump, are either bad from the start or good then executed badly. Not a good track record, and that's before throwing his habitual lying and personal life into the mix. And then Rahazam says, Race, I don't know what that means. The U.S. is in the war effort, kicking their teeth in. So unless there I missed a joke or something. I don't know. It depends, I guess, on what you mean by kicking their teeth in. The part of the initial, or one of the rationales was the regime had to go. It doesn't seem like that's going to happen. So if kicking their teeth in means accomplishing everything they said they wanted, then that's not happening. You're not getting rid of the regime. If kicking their teeth in means, like so many people I've heard, they say the Iranian people deserve their liberty. Let me make a prediction right now. This I'll do. The Iranian people are not getting their liberty. That's not happening. I will go on the record. I'm somebody that does not like to make predictions. I don't like to gamble because I know that things are uncertain. I am very confident that we will not end up with an Iran that is the semblance of a free country. That I'm very confident in. So if that is kicking their teeth in to accomplish that, no. If what you're saying is we're killing a lot of people, then yeah, we're kicking their teeth in. The U.S. is kicking their teeth in. But that doesn't mean that the war is being executed in a good way.
Remind me again what happened in Iraq.
Well, here's the thing. In Iraq, it was a relatively easy thing to get rid of Saddam Hussein. It was also, by the way, a relatively easy thing initially to get rid of the Taliban. Once Saddam Hussein fell, however, we ended up with Muqtada al-Sadr and I think it was the Mahdi militia started fighting. They didn't want us there. Then, of course, Al-Qaeda in Iraq came about, so we ended up fighting them. Ultimately, we ended up with ISIS. Then ISIS spread. We got to fight them. In Afghanistan, the Taliban ultimately came back, and they're back in power over there. So, I mean, and if you were to look at either one of those things, even in the first year, you would say, "Oh my God, we've destroyed them." The U.S. military is amazing. We've got amazing technology, amazing capabilities. There's no question about that. The question is, what is going to occur? Yeah, Iran funded a lot of the bombing in Iraq. That's correct, which is one of the reasons I could be convinced to support a war against Iran. But that's not the only factor, right? It's like, I don't want to use that analogy. Never mind. But no, it's just I don't want to get into it. but the bottom line is you can't judge this based on the fact that we're knocking down buildings, killing people, taking out leadership. If the ultimate infrastructure is still there for an oppressive regime to stay in place, then they haven't won according to the Free Iranian People thing. They haven't won according to the regime change line. So, and Trump has said he doesn't want to have to do this in 5 years. So I've heard people argue with me, well, as long as we take them out, and then if they do this again, we're going to take them out again. But Trump has said, no, that's not what he wants to do. So what I would like to see really is a conversation, and I'm willing to have this, and it doesn't have to be in debate form, for anybody that actually is right behind this is, okay, this is perfect. So Ra Hazam says the original metric of success is securing and disabling the nuclear capability. Trump said he did that last June. So, I mean, okay, so that's your goal. What about the destroying the Navy goal? What about regime change goal? What about the destroying their ballistic missile systems goal? I mean, so yeah, I know he lies, which is ultimately part of the problem. So what I would like to know is right now, I would like to know from the supporters of the war, tell me what success is. Because just saying, yeah, go to war, go to war, go to war. Iran's horrible. They deserve it. They've been attacking us. Let's go get them. Okay, and do what? What is the goal? Because for me, when you go to war, my idea of war is you conquer the country you're fighting, you get rid of the leadership, and you diminish or take away the threat that could come out of that country. Right? So I don't see that happening. So I want to know if somebody can tell me in the chat if you support the war in Iran or if you have friends, tell me what is success and what's not success. Because if once you tell me that, then we can actually have a discussion. But if all you're saying is, yes, Iran deserves to get hit, okay, I agree with that. The case closed then. But once you say America needs to do it, well, okay, well then I want to know what we're trying to achieve. What is the agenda? What is the goal? Persephone.
Yeah. What is the goal?
You can't just say yeah.
I have ADHD, so I say yeah when I'm
Yeah?
when I'm processing.
All right.
Okay. So Akira Felix says, why does he care? He won't be president in 5 years. Correct me if I'm wrong, right? But did Trump not say that America won't ever have another election and sort of make some insinuations that he was going to...
He's hinted that he'll run again, like in joking ways. It's unclear, though, if he's joking or not joking. So no, and his comment about what he said was, if we won't need another election, meaning he's going to beat everybody. You know what I mean? Like, it's not going to matter because we're going to be winning, so everything's going to be fixed. It doesn't matter about any more elections. Okay, dude, there's so many factors that are up in the air. Making a prediction on what will actually happen is rather disingenuous, especially without much terms or plans by our administration. Okay, first of all, dude, don't ever again tell me I'm disingenuous. I don't care for that shit. I make your argument. Tell me why I'm wrong. Don't tell me I'm disingenuous. You can judge my reasoning. Do not impugn my character. That's number one. Number two, the only prediction I made is that the Iranian people are not going to be free. I'll stand by that. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I'm not asking for supporters of the war to make predictions. No. I'm asking supporters of the war to tell me what would count as victory for them. What are they hoping to get? That's what I want to know. That's not asking anybody to make a prediction. I'm not asking them to say this is going to happen. I'm asking them to say, this is what I want. And by the way, saying that we're kicking their teeth in, but without saying what a goal is a meaningless term. It means nothing. We're kicking their teeth in. Okay, what does that mean?
So he did clarify that he wasn't saying that you were being disingenuous.
Okay, all right. Well, then I apologize. But that's what it sounded like. But I haven't asked anybody here for a prediction either. What I'm asking for is what constitutes victory. What in your mind do you want out of this war? Because if you're supporting the war, okay, then what is the point? What do you want to get? If I, for instance, let's take an analogy. You have a president's getting ready to support a Supreme Court justice, and I say, okay, what I want is to have somebody who's going to interpret the Constitution based on original meaning. They put somebody in there, and then the person doesn't do that, then I say, okay, that's a failure. Even if I supported the guy, I say, I supported the guy, but it's a failure. What I want to know is if you're telling me, like a lot of people have, that I must support the war, I want to know, okay, you've said I need to support it, but now tell me what we're going to accomplish. Tell me what would constitute victory that tells me why I should support it. That, okay, this is why we're going in. This is what will constitute victory. That's what I want to know.
From the people that I've spoken to who support the war, their end goal, their win state is regime change, freedom for the Iranian people.
Okay, that seems to be off the table. Unless Trump's lying, which he could be. But I Like Numbers says end the theocracy. It doesn't even seem like that's in the cards anymore.
No. That was the like one of the initial stated goals, but it's looking very, very unlikely.
Rock Chartrand says it's about a secret World War II.
He's asking, have you seen the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare? If so, any thoughts on how it could apply to the Iran war?
No, I have not seen it. I will say this though, Donald Trump is no Winston Churchill.
I was gonna make a joke,
but that of course is possible. But I can't. It like I said, it could be a lie. All I'm saying is that there's nothing different about the way that Trump is acting now that differs from his normal lying, his normal impulsiveness, his normal capriciousness. That there's nothing here that seems different. And I am not going to base my support on a war based on something that might be going on behind the scenes, especially not if it demands that I trust that Trump is somehow got some secret strategy that's going to pull it all off. Megan, I don't know how to respond. I'm happy you're getting married, but I don't know how to respond.
Anyway.
So yeah, I mean that's what I would like to know. Okay, so far we've got two different statements of what victory is. One is end their nuclear capability, and one is end the theocracy. So those are two different things. So what else do we have? So Akira Felix says they originally said the Iranian people wanted the regime change and they would be in charge. And then Trump said that he wanted someone other than Pahlavi. He changes his mind constantly. Well, that's true also.
Yep. If the same thing happens in Iran that happened in Venezuela, that's not a win, I don't think.
No,
for anyone.
No, in my, if I'm judging, if I'm the judge of the war, then victory is complete destruction of the Iranian regime, so they're gone and not coming back.
Yeah,
that's victory.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
That's it.
I still don't like that America steps in to be world police, but
Well, this is a little different, and I'll tell you why, but I want to thank Rock Chartrand for the $5. He says, thanks for the time you take to answer my questions on and off the show, and good job in the debate with Bernstein. Thank you very much, Rock. This isn't just a case of America. I hate America being the world police, granted. And, there's arguments that can be made that the conflicts with Iran ultimately stem from America being the world police. Okay. The problem is Iranians both with with the support of the government or after approval of the government, have attacked Americans and killed Americans. They've killed American soldiers. They did so in Iraq. They did so in Beirut. They've attacked military hotels. So it's not just a matter of being the police. A very strong case could be made that Iran has been at war with us for a long time. I'm not dismissing that, and I'm not even dismissing that as the justification for going after them. My problem is, again, first is the Constitution, and second, what is going to be the result? Is America actually going to be safer afterwards? That's what I want to know.
Ian Gilmore wants to know if you talk to Andy afterwards.
Ian Gilmore, I would not feel comfortable answering about private discussions that I had with Andy or anybody else, for that matter. I mean, if he wants to, he can make a statement on his Facebook page, or he can come on here and do it if he wants, whatever. I will say that on his Facebook page, there's a lot of interesting comments, to say the least. One of which is, did I tell you this, Persephone? I don't know. But one person said that Liebowitz can't be taken seriously until he gets his Al Capone tattoo removed. I don't know who's going to pay for that, because that's expensive. I've had it since I was 20 years old. And then the same guy later said Liebowitz and his tattoos. And somebody asked him, what relevance do his tattoo has? And the guy says that tattoos are a sign of mental illness. So...
Yes, I love that. If tattoos mean you're mentally ill and you can't be taken seriously.
Here Felix says, I don't buy blowback theory. Well, I mean, I don't think that it's an all explainer, Akira, but I mean, to say, well, the United States interfering in Iran's elections had nothing to do with the reasons, with Iranians hating America. I mean, I don't know. It seems like a logical conclusion. I ultimately don't know. I mean, America has hit them. They've hit us. That's just a fact. I mean, and the fact is that most of the time we're over there. So when I say, it's a result of us being the world police, I don't just mean in policing Iran. I mean in us being in other places. We were in Beirut, and it's not even a matter that I'm not even saying we should not have been there. I'm just saying we were there doing a police function as a peacekeeping force. So, I mean, I don't know how we can avoid that. How much to see the Al Capone tattoo?
$25.
$25 to see the Al Capone tattoo?
I don't even know where it is. If it's in like a safe place, then yes.
If it's in a safe place, then yes.
Yeah, then $25. I'm
right.
making
I'll
it.
tell
I'm
you
making
what.
it-
This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to show it, and I'll let the audience decide how much it's worth. How's that? Is that fair? That's fair. Hold
Yes.
on. So you've got to hold things down for a second.
We'll talk about hair dye. I'm thinking of dyeing my hair green. Someone please take a screenshot of Mike with his shirt over his head, because that was funny. Who gets an Al Capone tattoo in an unsafe place? Who knows?
That's the Al Capone tattoo. It's right there. You see it? Do I need to put it closer?
Yeah, get like all up in the camera.
See?
I mean, I like it.
$2.
Ian, that's rude.
Okay, it doesn't matter. $2.
There's a couple of comments. So
I want to back up because hold on.
There's a comment from Rock.
I'm going to ask Rock. That's where I was going to. Rock says, if the war in Iraq was wrong because they didn't do 9/11, should America be going after Saudi or somewhere else? Okay, I don't think that the Iraq war was wrong because because Iraq didn't do 9/11. I never really thought Iraq did 9/11. The fact is that Iraq did support, there was evidence that they supported terrorism. Saddam Hussein did attempt to have an American president assassinated, like the Iranians have done with Trump. And Saddam Hussein, it was thought, had nuclear, it was getting, had chemical and biological weapons and a nuclear program. And we also knew that he was willing to use those chemical weapons because he had used them in the past. That was the rationale. It wasn't about 9/11. This is I kind of want to address this because Mark actually sent me a video to watch last night about this. As I was researching the Iran history of Iran, I have come across this idea that America and Britain didn't interfere with Iran's elections. The Shah chose the prime minister. The USA advised the Shah. That's not true. That is revisionist history at its finest. That is now. Let me back up and not be so definitive on saying it's not true. That is a very, very minority viewpoint that's being put out there that is ignoring a ton of evidence. A ton of evidence, by the way, that comes from our own CIA, that we did put money, that we did back Iranian gangsters in an attempt to get this guy out. So it's true that the Shah chooses the prime minister. That's broadly true. It's also true that our interference got rid of Mossadegh, and not only that, but that the Shah's power before and after, there was a big difference. He had a lot more power afterwards. Persephone, can you do me a favor and just take Enric's statement and run it through some fact checks and give me a synopsis that can maybe do better than I just did? $2 for the tattoo. Thank you, Ian Gilmore.
I think it's worth at least 10.
It's revisionism, and the blowback theorists ultimately win credibility because of it. I am a big fan of always putting facts out there. I'm a big fan of saying when I'm not certain about something, or maybe I'm wrong. Whatever. I think that gains credibility. In debate, sometimes it loses credibility because people don't want you to say, I don't know. They want you to come out and defend everything. And sometimes you just cannot do that. You just don't know. But the overwhelming evidence and the overwhelming consensus is that America and Britain did indeed interfere in Iran to get rid of that prime minister after the nationalization of the oil.
So Claude and ChatGPT both say that the claim is largely false and misleading. 1953, CIA and MI6 orchestrated a coup. This is not disputed. The CIA acknowledged it. The operation involved bribing military officers, funding street agitators, coordinating the royalist military takeover. That's not non-interference. That's the definition of interference.
Right. So I get that there's stuff out there that's contrary, but so what? Mr. Deagle says debates are useless. I disagree wholeheartedly. I've seen people change their minds based on debates. Let's say that you have 500 people watch a debate, right? I agree that the overwhelming majority are going to stick to their guns and they're going to keep the position that they had before the debate, after the debate. So suppose out of those 500, 5 people are changed. Well, then you've just changed 5 minds. How many minds can those people go out and change? And not only that, suppose that you do, maybe you have a bigger audience. Maybe the audience is 10,000 and you change 100 minds. That's why they're not useless. If you're judging based on the majority of people aren't changing their minds, then I think you are right. We got 5 yowers. Fine. Jesus Christ. Well, looking at myself in a tank top, I can't get myself together. €5 for the tattoo from Katrin Kohler. Thank you so much. Ian Gilmore says what the debate revealed is that even the best people don't have a good reason for backing Trump. That's just one debate, though. Education is how you change the culture over generations. I agree. Phil says, my analysis is, of course, correct, but axiomatically only if Persephone says so. That's true. I agree with that. Akira Felix says, my debate with James Valiant about constitutional interpretation is the reason I started to look into it. Yes, thank you. Let me put my T-shirt back on because it's a little cold for one.
I mean, we could swap. It's very hot over here. The the debates that happen on this channel and on the Rational Ego stuff.
Enric says, if I could look at it, I have. I don't know how much you want me to look into it, though. I mean, like Mark sent me this video. I'm going to watch it. I watched the beginning of it, and they were claims that I had just come across the other day, largely. I mean, I don't know. You have people out there that say, well, Stalin wasn't really behind the famine in the Ukraine. I forget what it's called now. The Holodomor. I mean, how much do I need to look at it, Enric? That's what I need to know to say that, no, this just isn't the case. William Swig. That's an interesting thing, Ian. William Swig on Andy's page. Are you talking about the Dad Saves America video, Enric? Because this is the video. I did fact check it. I didn't just fact check it yesterday. I fact checked some of those claims previously. I don't know how much I have to. I mean, I could go read the sources, but then when I fact check those sources, I'm going to end up with the same result. I don't know how many I need to do. It's Dad Saves America, Ian. William Swig said on Andy Bernstein's Facebook page that when he debated me last year, he utterly destroyed me in that debate. Let me just say that I've debated a lot of people. William Swig might have been the easiest victory, the most lopsided win I've ever had in any debate. In his mind, he destroyed me, and in the mind of his people, they destroyed me. I don't know. Let's see what else we got. Enric says, that's fine. Thanks. I am going to watch the video, Enric. I will do that when I get a chance. I probably put it on during my drive later on. I got about a 25-minute drive. It's about a 25-minute video. So that's what I'm going to do.
It's good to watch videos while you drive.
I'm not going to watch. I'm going to listen. I should have said that. But thank you for, being picky.
You're so welcome.
Right. Ian Gilmore makes a good point. He says it's because they think the stuff is perceptually obvious, so if you dispute it, you've lost. I'm going to say something a little controversial. I know. I usually stray from the controversies. And I want to state at the outset that this observation does not apply to everybody, just some of the people that support Iran. When you listen to Andrew Bernstein, and he says the left is so bad that it overrides other considerations, and that's what makes Trump a hero and why you have to vote for him. It's the same error. If you just substitute the left and put Iran, that some of the people arguing that the Iranian war, it's so obvious. It doesn't need to be debated. It's so obvious it needs to be done. The Constitution should not be an impediment. They're employing the same error. I doubt they'd see it. Maybe eventually they will. I doubt Andy's going to see it. And some of these people are, on both ends of the spectrum. Andy's my friend. Some of those other people are my friends. I saw Akira made it yesterday. I believe that he made it, and I've noticed this for a while. So I think that it's a real thing. I think that that Andy and the Trump people think it's perceptually obvious. The left is so evil that Trump is a good thing. We need to take them out. You know what I mean? We need to have Trump in, and I think that people believe that Iran is so obviously bad. It's self-evident. There's really no need to even argue it. Wow. Rahazam with the $50. You should have bargained a little bit, man. Thank you so much. He said, I appreciate people who, when given additional information, can check themselves and, if necessary, apologize or clarify statements. Thanks for not biting my head off, LOL. Keep debating and bringing reason to the unreasonable. Thank you, Rahazam. Thank you so, so much. Akira Felix says, I pointed it out before him. Ian Gilmore says, it's emotion substituting for argument, which is why it seems obvious. I think that's, I've come across this an awful lot. I didn't expect to come across it so much outside of prison as I did in prison, where people take the certainty that's inside their head as evidence that something is correct. Where the evidence should produce the certainty, not the certainty counted as evidence. But I think it does happen. And I'm not going to say it never happens to me. I mean, I'm not, what's the word I'm looking for? Beyond error, of course. But I think that does happen. I think that people think something's so certain, they just think that only an idiot could disagree, or an immoral person, which is why, by the way, I maintain my friendship with Andy Bernstein. I think he's very, very wrong about Trump. I don't think he's being dishonest about it. I just think he's very, very wrong. And, it reminds me of this. I'll give you an example. So when I was in prison, you're surrounded by people that are not good people. I have to sit somewhere for lunch, right? Yeah, I have to. So I knew this guy, and he, was like a white supremacist. I don't know how else to put it. He's got white pride tattoos all over his body. I'd known him for 15 years or so. He did change for a while, then kind of reverted. He's on the fence. It was hard to tell. If ever I was with him and he made even a semblance of a racist comment, I checked him on it immediately. I didn't allow that. But one day a guy came to me, a black guy, and said, hey, why do you hang around with that guy with all that on, all those tattoos? And I said to him, okay, why do you talk to the people who yell cracker and bitch, yelling about crackers and bitches out the door all day long? Those people are bigoted against white people and women, but you have no problem sitting with them. So it should just be me that stops talking to this guy? And now that's obviously, those are extreme immoral people. This isn't the case here. But for the people who think that I should stop talking to Andy because of his support for his support for Trump, I could ask the same question. Well, what about the people who are being unreasonable about Iran? Should I stop talking to them too? You can't base it simply on the fact that you approve of the conclusion that's arrived at. If you're going to judge people based because they're in error, then judge them because they're in error. Personally, I know that I've erred, and I wouldn't want people to just dismiss me because of my errors. So I'm not going to dismiss others because of theirs. Let's see what we got here.
Mr. Deagle said something. He said the debates are useful as promotional tools, but if you can reach the same audience with a video or a talk or a book, you will probably change more minds. Because in the debates, too much rests on the charisma of the debaters and not the actual facts.
It can. The problem here is that there's something about when you debate somebody, checking them in real life, being able to answer the actual arguments that somebody else is making. It's true that charisma matters, but I got news for you. If you're writing, the same thing matters. How colorful the language, how emotionally you connect to the reader matters in many, many cases. Same thing if you give a lecture, if you give a speech, your charisma matters there too. You may think it's unfortunate, but the fact of the matter is when you're communicating, connecting emotionally to an audience matters. I didn't write the rule. I didn't encode, human beings with the propensity to be swayed that way, but a lot of people are. But it doesn't mean that debates aren't useful ever. It doesn't mean that writing's not useful. It doesn't mean that giving speeches isn't useful.
Can I mention one other thing?
No.
Okay. So if you are writing a book or a blog or an article, or you're doing a video or you're doing a talk, you can do research and you can formulate what you want to say, but it's usually going to be within the realm of what you know. Sometimes when you have a debate, a person will say something so like out of left field that you didn't think of, that you can then go and refute. And the same thing can't happen if you're just doing a talk.
Right. So, Ian Gilmore says the fact that Andy couldn't seriously answer your question about sources at the end was really, really bad. Maybe the worst thing about his performance. I happen to agree, but I think that this cuts two ways, Ian, because for those people who argue that he's dishonest, if you see that this is his source of information, then you have to say, well, he's mistaken. Because he's actually getting the information, it's just wrong. But it's not a dishonesty question. I think that that's a mistake. I think it's wrong. I think that he should be getting information from different sources. But that's a different question from judging somebody's character and judging somebody's honesty. Oh, well, if you say, broken epistemology, that's still not a character thing. It's a problem with reasoning, and it largely applies with Andy only to this one area. So, I really don't have a problem with that phrasing, Ian. I just want to differentiate it from saying somebody is lying about something or somebody's deliberately being deceitful.
Yeah, I have nothing to add to that.
What, Rahazam, after you've given $50, I really don't want to have to correct this, but what the hell is a red herring? Ooh, look at this. $10, or no, 10 pounds from Phil, witnessing Trump's thought processes. Sorry to be rude, but I think he could have at least bought America dinner first. Same thing with Starmer here in the UK. He just used a different access route. Thank you, Phil, for the 10 pounds. My spelling sucks sometimes, that's what. I got to say, you know what I hate that sometimes happens to me when I'm in a hurry and I post something and I won't spell check it, and then I look later and I'm like, oh, God.
It happens to me. It happens to me all the time.
There was a question that I wanted to get to.
Do you agree with Rand that the greatest evil is a refusal to see and think, not verbatim? And does it apply to Bernstein with Trump?
I don't know that that's actually the greatest evil. It might, because I think using force against other people, initiating force, is a greater evil, and I think that they actually. In OPAR, that's actually what's said, is that that's the greatest evil. I do think that a refusal to see and a refusal to think is bad. I don't want to get into the problem is, Rock, is that if you assume somebody else operates from a given context, then you can say, okay, the person's refusing to think. I think that there are a lot of good reasons to distrust the media. Right? I disagree that you then just say, get away from me and don't pay any attention to them. I also disagree with then saying, well, Fox News is reliable. But that doesn't have to be the result of refusal to think. It could be the result of an error in thinking, and those are two different things.
Yeah, Mr. Deagle says, is dishonesty only when you know the truth and then purposefully lie, or can dishonesty also be a refusal to learn the truth by checking other sources?
It would depend. So if you were to ask me, for instance, like, I don't need to look at, for instance, as a source, the protocols of the learned elders of Zion in order to dismiss that. It's pure bullshit. I know it's bullshit. I don't need it. Right? So when you say you need to check other sources, okay, it's going to depend on which specific thing are we talking about? So when I'm debating Andy, for instance, now you want to say, okay, Andy, go look at other sources. The problem is that I've spent a decade now paying close attention and going to multiple sources. So it's not like I could say to him, here, look at this one source, and this is going to be it. It would require him to dedicate an enormous amount of time and effort. Now, look, I think he's wrong. I think that I don't think he should be out there giving opinions, definitive opinions about how good Trump is when he's missing facts. I'm just saying that it doesn't have to be dishonest in order to do so. And it doesn't make me indict a man's entire character because he's making this error. That's, I guess, my overall point. And another thing I'll add, though, is for the people who condemn Bernstein because of his errors regarding Trump, I just hope that you're consistent when it's something that you agree with. Because I've seen a lot of people who 2 weeks before telling me that the Constitution doesn't really matter, who were saying Trump's violating the Constitution, this is unlawful, he's horrible, this is terrible, look what he's doing. And then when it was Iran, come out and say, oh, well, yeah, this he should do. Well, we can't really trust the Constitution right now. It's flawed. Let's go to this war. After, 2 weeks before saying ICE is the Gestapo and Trump is a dictator. So, I mean, if you're going to say, well, gee, look how bad Andy is on Trump because he can have the information, I'm going to say the information's out there for the people who wholeheartedly just say you have to support this war and that's it. I'm not talking, again, in both cases, I'm not talking about people who say they had to vote for Trump because he's the lesser evil. And I'm not saying that the people that say, look, Iran has been attacking us for a very long time. This is an imperfect thing, but I support the war. I'm talking about people specifically that are making the error that I'm talking about.
What a wonderful time for a capitalist thought of the day.
You think so?
I do. You got 4 minutes if you want to talk about something else.
So Akira, I think you're wrong. Again, I'm not going to, I don't want to get too much into it. Okay. What else do you have to say, Persephone, for yourself?
What I have to say for myself, the world is scary right now. America is very scary right now. I don't like it. That's what I have to say.
Yes, Greg, Congress and the Senate are complicit in letting Trump continue his course. Greg Lewis just popped in right at the end with a question.
Yeah, he thought he doesn't know it's daylight savings time.
Okay, I'll give the capitalist thought of the day. Oh, but I didn't address any of the questions. I don't think there were any. I didn't ask a question yesterday, matter of fact. So let me just look real quickly. We'll go over some of the comments. What? Why are you giving me that look?
I'm not. Just received a very funny message.
By the way, we gained one follower.
One whole follower.
You said we were going to lose followers.
I said we might.
Hey, same thing. I want to see. Somebody says I need a new mic. That my mic is softer than my guests, so I don't know about that. Mr. Bernstein is definitely right about the left. Andrew makes a legit case. At best, Andy proved Trump is the lesser evil. This was my favorite one of all. My take, Michael, he's describing me. I'm dogmatic, rationalistic, and relying on disproven, quote-unquote, facts. Totally detached from actual cultural, geopolitical circumstances in real life. My response to that is I came armed with a mountain of information and asked to be fact-checked. So I don't know what else to say about that. I'm going to turn up my mic a little bit. All right, I turned my mic up. Mr. Deagle says that's special. Okay, capitalist thought of the day now. What should be the capitalist thought of the day? That's absolutely true, Rock Chartrand. So the capitalist thought of the day is when judging people's morality or you judge another person's character, you need to have all the relevant facts. When somebody disagrees with you, no matter how certain you are, Even if you are absolutely correct, it doesn't mean the other person is stupid. It doesn't mean the person is unreasonable, and it does not mean the person is dishonest. The person may just disagree for whatever reason. This happens all the time. It, of course, is also the case that sometimes people are dishonest. It is on us to be meticulous in our information gathering about a person so that we can make such judgments. But we can't simply assume that somebody is bad because I think they're wrong. That is not sound reasoning. It is not sound moral judgment. I do think that debates are helpful. I think disagreements are helpful. I think that we need to respectfully air our disagreements. We can have them and come out on the other end of it. Jim Valiant is one of my absolute best friends in the world. I disagree with him. He disagrees with me. We laugh. We move on. Neither accuses the other of being dishonest, and we always let reality be the guide. That is the way. The way is not to dismiss people you disagree with, castigate them, judge them, or, otherwise diminish them as people. What you need to do is, unless there's, an overwhelming amount of evidence that the person is just bad. If there's real evidence that the people are bad, then obviously the case is there for the judgment. But other than that, let's engage rationally. The question for the weekend is, I want a good psychological thriller to watch. One that I may have missed that's not very popular, a hidden gem, if you will. Please go to YouTube and give me that hidden gem. I could really, really use it. All right, we're out. I will be on Everyday Ethics today with Persephone. I hope she has a good show planned for 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time today. Tomorrow, Mark Pellegrino and I are going to be doing Self-Made Soul a little early. It'll be at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. We'll be discussing an article that inspired me while I was in prison. It really helped me out. I look forward to seeing everybody back here on Monday. Until then, check your premises. Peace.